everyone, you're welcome to my channel. So today we are learning how to make this kimono gown, kimono jacket. So you like it. You can see how lovely it's looking. So if you have any question and if you enjoy this tutorial, please put it in the comment section. Please subscribe and share my video. Thank you very much.
This kimono jacket, the measurement I'll be using is shoulder to nipple point is 11, shoulder to under bust is 14.5, shoulder to half length is 17, while the gown length is 42, the kimono length is 42, and the circumference of the bust is 40, circumference of the under bust is 34, circumference of the half length is 36, then the nipple to nipple, I don't need it. The shoulder is 18, while the sleeve is 16 and 13. The bicep is 16, while the elbow is 13.5, and the hip circumference is 46. So first of all, I'll fold my fabric into two. This for the front bodies. So after folding it into two like this, I'll start my measurement from here. This is where I'm using for my shoulder. So I'm not going to use this edge. Now from here, I'll measure the nipple point from shoulder. Now I say shoulder to nipple point, that's 11. Shoulder to under bust is 14.5. And shoulder to half length is 17. Where I'm going to determine my hip is 24.5. Then the nail length is 34. While the length of the kimono is 42. Then I'll use 2 inches extra for my folding. So let me rule this out. So now after ruling out my measurement, I'll measure the circumference of my shoulder, which is 18. The circumference of the shoulder is 18 inches. 18 divided by 2 give me 9. I'll come to the nipple points. The circumference of the nipple point is 40. Divided by 4 will give me 10 inches. So I will add 2 inches for my seam allowance. Then for the under bust is 34. So 34 divided by 4 will give me 8.5. Then I'll add my 2 inch seam allowance as well. The half length is 36 divided by 4. Then I will add my seam allowance. Then the hip circumference is 46 divided by 4. Then I will add 2 inches as well. So here for the nail length, what I'll just do is because it's a kimono, I'll just transfer the measurement I have for my hip to the nail length and the length of the gown. So 46, then seam allowance of 2 inches. I'm going to do likewise here. 46, seam allowance of 2 inches. Same here. That's 13.5. So now I'll connect the lines. After connecting my lines, I'll come back to the shoulder. Then from this shoulder, I'll measure 7 inches. That's to determine my armhole. So I'm connecting it back to the shoulder circumference. So from there, I'll measure 4.5 inches. Then at this point, the angle, I'll measure 1. So I'm connecting this one to here. Then at the same time, I'm connecting it to this side. Then from there as well, from the shoulder, I will measure half inch. So this now I'm connecting it to the half inch. So that's that for the shoulder. So now I'm back to my nipple point. So the circumference I have here, I'm going to transfer it to where the shoulder is. Sorry, to where the armhole is. Then I'll just add 1 inch to it. That's to give me the slope I need here. So that's that for the kimono. This is the back bodies rather. This is the back bodies. Now, after cutting the back, now I mentioned earlier that this is the back body, so I placed it on the remaining fabric. I coded that 22 as well, so I placed it on it. Then I left 1.5 inches for my seam allowance, for my for my front allowance. So it's a kimono. There is possibility that it has button, but for this one now, I'm not using any button for it. It's just going to be there. So this is where I'm going to use for the allowance at the front. So now I'm still going to cut the same measurement out aside from the allowance at the front. So now I'm going to measure my neckline. So I'm using 3 inches for the neckline. Then for the back bodies, because I'm cutting both back bodies and front bodies together, I'm using 1 inch for the neckline. So after this, then I will separate them and reshape the neckline for front. Now I'll come to this shoulder side, then I'm measuring 1 inch and I will slant it to the neckline. So that's that for that. Then I will notch this. Then I will notch this up. No, I'll still notch that, but not now. So now I want to reshape the neckline of the front bodies. So for the front bodies, I'm coming down with 5 inches. So the kimono is having like round neck. Then I will open up this side. Then for the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, I measure the length I'm using for the sleeve is 17 inches, then plus 1 inch for my folding, which makes it 18 inches. Then I'm going to determine the bicep is 5. Then the elbow is 10. So from there as well, from here, I'll measure 2 inches. This is where I'm going to connect to my armhole. So now for the bicep, the circumference of the bicep is 16 inches divided by 2 gives 8 inches. Then I'm going to add 1 inch for my seam allowance. Then at the elbow, the circumference there is 13.5 divided by 2 plus 1 inch for the seam allowance. Then for where the sleeve is going to end, this particular place, the circumference there is 12 inches. Then I will add 1 inch to it. So I'm going to connect the lines. So after connecting the lines, I'll measure the total I have here. Then I'll transfer it to this side. I'll add 1 inch to it just to give it that slope shape I need. Then from there, I'll make this cup shape. Then I'll cut it out. I decided to design my kimono with this bias tape pen. I put stones on it. So now, because I'm not using any lining, so I'm just making use of facing for this. Now this is the facing. I've added paper stitch to my facing, so I'll first stitch the neckline. I'm done stitching it. Now I want to top stitch the neckline. So when you are top stitching, you ensure that the part that you sew is lying under the lining or facing. This will help the neckline to relax well. After the top stitch, the down part of my facing, I'll just fold it once. I'm still going to use hemming gum on it, so I'll just fold it once. Then after that, I'll stitch it to the front of my kimono. That's the facing and the Ankara. I'm stitching the two together. So now I've ironed it and I've used my hemming gum to gum the down. Now this part that I joined together, I'll just fold it small, just like the way I did for the down part of this. I'll just stitch it straight like this. Stitch this. Then you remember I left 2 inches for the front bodies. So the 2 inches now I've stitched half, it remains 1.5. So the 1.5, I will now put my hemming gum underneath, since I'm not using any lining like I said earlier. So I'm going to use hemming gum to gum this side down. I've hemmed the 1.5 inch inside and I've hemmed this side. Now the next thing to do is to join and I've done that of the back as well. I stitch the neckline, then I hem this side too. So the next thing now is to stitch the shoulder together. I've hemmed the 1.5 inch inside and I've hemmed this side. Now the next thing to do is to join and I've done that of the back as well. I stitch the neckline, then I hem this side too. So the next thing now is to stitch the shoulder together. To stitch the neckline, I'll put the back inside the front. You can see the way I did it. So for the pocket, I measure from shoulder to hip length, which is 24.5. And for the pocket as well, where I place my pocket is 24.5. So the allowance I use, the inches I use for the pocket is 11.5. So I folded 2 inches inside and I taped it with my bias tape. So after that, I measure 2 inches at the front of my kimono. I measure 2 inches. So that's where I'm starting the pocket from. So I folded ½ inch inside. At the down part, I folded half again inside. Now I've fixed the sleeve and I've folded the down part as well. So thank you very much for watching this video to the end. God bless.